Well, masked wolf in the green room, Harry Michael, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you here today. I know we're living the lockdown life at the moment, but you're an extremely busy man, so I'm very, very grateful you make the time at the moment.
No worries.
Most recently, I know you gifted the world a brand new single with "Say So," and it's safe to
Mhm.
say that it was having some pretty big shoes to fill, following astronaut, obviously, and more recently gravity gliding.
Mhm.
But I feel like those two songs are actually almost like the moodier cousins to this brand new song. It's such a bounce of a tune, but still with that signature masterful flavor. But underneath, obviously, that sunny disposition, there are a lot of heavy themes. Can you talk me through a bit about what inspired Say So?
Um, I guess like it's always been a brand of me to have a hidden message in a song. Not maybe not a hidden message, but there's always a message in it. And for like anyone that's always asked, like I would never go in and write a song with a topic already in mind. So I hear a beat and I literally think of like a chorus or an intro verse, and then the topic comes from that. Like it's all literally created from thin air. And say so was just like it just came about, if you say so, then you say so. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And then it started like branching off. It's kind of like, the stem of a tree and then the branches come off from that. And then it just kind of like it makes its own topic rather than me making it. It's like very genuine. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was just always about people saying that they're okay, but really they're not. And they just try and act like it's all good.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of us, and especially with what's going on at the moment, but you somehow managed to make this really cathartic song come out with such an incredible hook to it too. So you've managed to
Yeah.
balance that out. But it does have a lot of that relatable gravity. And I feel like, do you find that catharsis in writing the songs? Like, does it trip you out to realize how much of a connection these tunes are having, not just, within your circle of friends, like going beyond it into the world? I mean, you have transcended the local scene and well and truly made the world fall in love with you. Does it trip you out to kind of realize how much of a connection you're having everywhere at this point in your career?
Um, not yet because like I haven't explored the world enough to feel the connection. It's just I've still been in Australia, I've still been in Sydney, in interstate, so I haven't like it's you think it's there, but then it's like you haven't felt it personally and physically. So I think once I like travel overseas, I'll feel that actual connection and maybe what I've done a bit more.
Absolutely. And I feel like you have obviously been overseas in the past and it feels like something so foreign at the moment, but hopefully not for much longer. But is there a significant difference between how you're received if you're like jumping up on stage on Jimmy Fallon performing in America as opposed to being in Australia? Like, have you noticed that significant shift in who's actually digging your tracks?
Um, it's weird because I'm like I don't get really phased by names. Um, I try and treat everyone equally. You know what I mean? Like if it's Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Rogers from down the road, like I give the same amount of honesty and the same amount of energy. But I mean, it was obviously weird doing it when you're in Australia and you can't be there in person. Like it's a different feel. But I mean, everything gets the same energy and gets the same effort from my end.
Absolutely. And I think what I like hearing about someone like you is having such a prolific adoration around the place. But I don't believe there are any real accidents or overnight successes. And I feel like anyone who's done anything creative would absolutely attest to that. But I
Yeah.
did read, and obviously you've spoken quite at length about how before Astronaut came out in the world, you very nearly gave up on music or very nearly gave up on this journey. And here
Yeah.
you are, like billions of streams and so much more to come. But was there that make or break moment that made you decide to give it one last push and keep at it?
I think I couldn't stop. Like even if I said I was taking a break even if I said I was giving up, like I found myself coming back. Like it was just one of those things that I couldn't escape making music. So I don't think there would have ever been a part of me that stopped. Um, but I never wanted to be that person that was like, yeah, I tried and it just didn't work out. And these are my reasons why it didn't work out. And here's my list of excuses. I just wanted to be the person that said, yeah, like I made it.
Yeah. And that's the thing I think with anything creative, like you kind of can't not do it. I don't know if that's how you feel, but I like with anything I've done that's felt a little bit outside my reach or outside my grasp,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel at the time like you're ever going to get there, but you just keep doing it, and you just, because you have to, you can't not. And I think it's inspiring to know that everyone goes through that, because I don't know, it can feel like it is just you, and it feels like you're kind of alone in this struggle, and everyone else is just effortlessly creating and conjuring and all of that. So yeah, it's not a nice thing that we all share, but it is really, really a bit of a realistic connection, I guess, as well.
I think there's a 50-50 for me. Either you give up or you don't. And the ones that sort of make it never give up. So it's a very easy thing to say, but that's literally like what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are living proof of it. And I think it's incredible to just see how much you put into what you do. I mean, I was at an in conversation with you a couple of weeks back where you were just talking about like your constant writing and constantly just creating and conjuring. Like, do you find it just comes really naturally to you, or do you painstakingly sit down and just try to have an output regardless of whether you're feeling particularly in the zone at that moment or not?
No, it's all natural. Like I'll think of ideas in my head out of random at the most random time, or sometimes I'll just be in the studio and then it will like say so happened in 30 seconds, the chorus, and just came randomly to my head. So that's the whole point of music. I think it's creativity without knowing what that creativity is going to be.
Yeah, 100%. And I was chatting with someone else before in a chat I did, and I was saying it's kind of like you're that conduit for it. Like, even though you're putting in the hard work, and at the end of the day, like if you're constantly just sitting there and kind of being open to that creativity, it's incredible what can come out of it, and you can't predict it, which is even more exciting.
Yeah. I think that's the best part of it. It's like what is going to happen and you don't know. So that's what music is, creation from nothing, right? So
100%. And it's an awesome and very, very fascinating and very perplexing thing all in one. It's got everything going for it.
For sure.
And back in the day, I know, like, obviously you're sitting here with, being a creative cauldron practically at this point, but you were rocking a few pretty different day jobs to what you were doing now. And muso friends of mine always say you kind of know if you've quote unquote made it if music is your full-time job. But what was that moment like, quitting that 9 to 5 grind and finally embracing Master Wolf full-time?
It was obviously great, but it was very hard to adjust. My body was used to waking up 7, 8 a.m., getting ready for work for like a decade. So for me, it's like I'm still feel like I'm adjusting, like with the freedom of it all at some points, and like not having a boss to answer to in a sense. So I'm still adjusting. I think it's going to take at least 1 to 2 years to properly adjust, to be honest, like mentally and physically. But yeah, obviously that moment was like, fuck, I don't have to work 9 to 5s anymore.
Oh, yes. Oh, that moment, like, you just almost want to have a snapshot of that just to look back on.
Yeah.
But how much of that stuff carried over? Like, how many skills were you able to actually bring over from your past life? Because, like, I worked weird jobs back in the day, like customer service that I thought would never serve me. And yet it kind of did help me. Like, it's weird that the stuff you don't really like doing does sometimes carry over.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was more on the business side of things. I think thinking on a business standpoint of making music and maybe like how I sell myself and how I sell the songs and how people, listeners would perceive them once I've finished them and what's the strongest. So I think that's the only real benefit I've got, is like sort of understanding the business side of things and how people sort of react to what you create.
Absolutely. Well, probably much better skills than me just learning how to talk underwater while I was trying to sell people stuff in a shop.
Right.
So you went up on me there.
Okay, I'll take it.
Now, I have an anecdote here I'd love to confirm with you. I think I mentioned to you in passing at that in conversation, I actually go to a physio that went to school with you. So my physio, Mitch, has told me a story that may indicate that you were kind of destined for this lifestyle.
Okay.
Apparently back in the day, there were some schoolyard rap battles that you just absolutely dominated. Is this correct?
If this happened, I have no memory of them. I'm literally being honest. If he remembers that, that's crazy. I don't even remember doing rap battles at school. Maybe I
when was
did.
it, like when was that moment that you kind of, this journey quote unquote started then? Was there a moment
I
that
think it was
kind of,
like year 10, year 11. I started saying I was doing a bit of music, but I never really went around school. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Like it was never like that. But yeah, it was towards the end of high school that I had like a small group of friends, and like I would maybe show some stuff to them that was really bad, like it was crap as hell. It was like heavily auto-tuned, just mucking around type stuff. And yeah, that's it.
and what really, really kickstarted you wanting to do that? Like, were you just like that typical kid that was just listening to all that stuff in that era and
Uh,
that moment?
I think I've always had I like a challenge, and I give it like I'll give anything a go type attitude. Like if it's a challenge related or hobby, like I'll go, yeah, let's try it out. But I'm also like another type of person, because if I know I hate it, then I'll be like, I'm definitely not doing it. Like I'm stubborn. But for me, it was just like there was this feeling like I should give it a go. I mean, that's you fall in love with it, I guess. And then from then on, it's just like you're not giving it a go. You want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what stuff were you listening to that really, really like started this all as well? I mean, there are probably some of the obvious ones, but like, were you always into a little bit of everything, or was it just always
No,
you
I
just really
liked I liked like the songwriting of the Beatles. But that was like later days. Like for me, it was Kanye and G Unit, especially G Unit. I was a massive G Unit fan. And I guess I just fell into that American hip hop realm after that. So yeah,
Yeah, and I guess it's all come to this point where you've got your own style. Like it's unmistakably a masterful song when you do actually
yeah.
put it out there, but you've created hundreds of songs and you put in thousands of hours creating these tunes. What dictates what does or doesn't make the cut in regards to what you're releasing? Like
My
how many songs are
management
you
team, my
so
management team. I have zero say.
I love that. But in that case, then, like, is there stuff that you fight them on? Like, are you like, this is the one?
No, 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 no. If I think it's like really good, I'll go out of my way to maybe get a beat done for it. But usually I know if like 80% of the people we speak around are saying it's a vibe and it's really good, then we put it out. But if it's not, then we just sort of push it to the side. It's mostly like an 80-20 ratio, maybe 70-30. 70% of what I produce will get put on an album or a single. 30% will get left in the wherever work in progress folder. So yeah.
It's amazing just to think how much stuff you would have sitting on there. I feel like you probably put out about 20 albums in 1 year potentially at this point.
I'm actually the opposite. I'm like quality. Yeah. So like two songs in a week or two songs in 2 weeks for me. And if they're like really good, is like I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, damn, I like that. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I guess with how much you have achieved, like, is there something still on a quote unquote bucket list in terms of an event or a tour or someone you'd love to collaborate with? Or are you just kind of taking this
Mm.
journey one step at a time and just enjoying whatever comes out of it?
I mean, there's a lot of people I'd love to work with, but I don't know. I don't really want to put it myself in that category of like, oh, I have to work with this person, or it's like for me, a bucket list shouldn't be like who you want to work with. Should be more about, I guess, personal things. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but like rather than I need to work with this person, is like I want to achieve, this personal goal. For me, like maybe it would be well, we've made a deal because myself and my producer, we don't drink, we don't get drunk. So we said our goal is if we get another platinum record in America, we'll get drunk one night all together as a group. So that's something on the bucket list for us. But for
I
me,
love
like
it.
it's honestly be happy, be healthy, and like do what's in my heart, and whatever comes from that to our collabs, then it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of nicer. And I think it's a really healthy way to put it because otherwise, it's not that you're like pinning yourself to someone else's journey, but it kind of does truly make it your own. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's something with you. Like, to use a really, really bad cliche, like you're alone, it makes you a lone wolf in a really positive way as a creative. And I think it's a really healthy way to do it. So I'm on
Yeah.
board. And
Okay.
also,
That's
what
good.
alcohol will we be drinking
Just
if we
most
do
probably
achieve this?
bourbon.
Nice. Awesome.
Lots of bourbon.
And given you have kind of, put yourself out there at a very interesting time in the music industry in general, like what are your thoughts on the current state of the Aussie hip hop world? Like as someone who's come into it, not, obviously before the pandemic, but given everything going on as well, is it healthy? Is it supportive?
I think it's at its best point where it's at and where it's ever been, to be honest. But I'm interested to see who's next, who's going to be the next person that breaks. So yeah, I think it will be a solo artist, obviously, but I'm interested to see because it sort of went, I guess, hip hop wise, it went like 1-4 Kid Leroy, then me, and there's heaps of others, but like to really snap the market, I guess, and then Tones and I, obviously, with Dance Monkey, but not hip hop. So I mean, I think there'll be someone that just comes in now that Australia has their imprint, I guess, a bit more, or the footprint on the global map. I think we're accepted a bit more in the industry of music.
Definitely. And I think the awesome thing is the stuff just, kind of start to get a little bit better than it is now. There'll obviously be a bit more of a chance for some live performances and hopefully some festival bits and bobs as well, potentially for you. Like, is there something like what is something like that you would actually be really excited about? Like, do you enjoy like the smaller kind of shows and the more intimate settings, or do you want to just like get out on a festival stage and unleash?
I do not like the intimate settings at all. I like festivals or club. I like club gigs because everyone's like a bit on the alcohol, there to have fun and just listen to music and go, dance to whatever. And then festivals after that. So yeah, no, the small close-up settings are not my vibe.
Yeah, it's a little bit confronting just generally. And I think I'm still confused when I'm standing like really close to people just in general at the moment. So
yeah,
in a different respect, I do get that. So obviously very different setting and very different vibe being up with that, see a crowd in front of you.
Yeah.
Now, given we're in lockdown still for the next little bit, this one is a hypothetical, but not really. I know you've spoken about some of the artists you were into back in the day, but let's get cliched and talk Desert Island album. What album would you take with you stranded on a desert island that you could just listen to over and over from start to finish?
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
I love it. Yeah. I love you didn't even have to think about it too. It's perfect.
Very easy answer.
Yeah, that's awesome. And why is it? What do you love most about it?
I think it was like Kanye's peak creative era, and it's just so versatile but still so fluent in the songs. Like everything sort of connected. It's just my all-time favorite album. I don't know, just something that clicked with me. I listen to it like every day.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's good too that you still can like it because, it shows that it is something special if it's transcended past. I've listened to things that are like listen to death and I don't want to listen to it ever again. So yeah, that's a very big positive. And again, because we don't have a lot of live music, I don't want to take you back to your live performances. I want to take me back to the first ever live show you went to as a punter. What was your first proper gig that you went to back in the day?
50 Cent.
Oh, hell yes. You're so on brand all the time. I love it.
Yeah, 50 Cent. I was 19 at Sydney.
Oh, yes. And did he show up? Did he?
He showed up. Yeah, he did well.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's very cool. It's a little bit cooler than mine. Mine was when I was like 16 or something. I went and saw Coldplay because my brother bought me a ticket. So not quite, not quite as cool, but we've got to rep what we did.
I'll let you pass with that.
Thank God. Yeah, we won't tell too many people. And lastly, considering I have made you drop past the green room and hopefully there will be a lot more performances on the cards for you down the track as well as some new tunes. What is one essential must-have item that you want backstage in your green room when you're allowed to get back on the road?
Is it weird if I say water? I barely drink. Like, that stuff is for my manager because he loves having a bit of a drink. So he's just like, yeah, cool. I'm just I get like a bit anxious before performances. So like I just like chilling out, having water, and like I hate being there 4 hours before because I'm just thinking about the performance. I can't think about anything else. So like my essential item, I actually like if there was an item, it's this necklace. Like I always wear this necklace. So
Nice. Yep.
that's always
so water and the necklace, and maybe don't bother you before the show. We'll tell everyone just still keep you be.
yeah, exactly.
How do you go? Like, is it that sense of relief straight after it though? Like you back in on it after? Yeah,
straight as soon as I finish, it's like I did well.
It's that weird nervous excitement, but I guess like it's probably what makes it even more of a special moment and gives you that, I don't know, maybe it centers you. I feel like when I get that nerves, like really brings me into the moment. So
yeah,
unnecessary evil, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but note to self, water, that's a good one. And then when everything goes platinum, we'll be making sure some bourbon makes it on there as well for you.
Done.
Awesome. Well, it's awesome to chat to you today. Sadly, in lockdown, but hopefully it won't be too much longer. But congrats on all the incredible things you've got going on. And here's to the Masked Wolf taking over the world in the not too distant future. You too. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too. Peace.
Legend.
Green Room with Tiana Speter is a podcast from the Handshake Agency Network, produced by Tiana Speter and Andrew Mast, with Pharrell D'Souza and Henry Gibson providing research. Recorded and engineered by Zig Parker, executive producer Craig Treweek.